It's important that we remember exactly what took place, that this was no tourist visit.
Know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
I'm going to punch him out and I'm going to go to jail and I'm going to be happy.
I was murdered.
You were murdered. Okay, you obviously weren't murdered because you're alive and you're basically intact. You weren't murdered, buddy.
And they are lying. And we know that because we've been looking at the tape.
What's up, guys? It's your boy Benny. Funny how the people that are always lecturing you about the importance of democracy are never the ones who want to answer simple questions like, where did COVID come from? Which regime changes did America have a hand in? Did they ever have a hand in regime changes here at home? What happened to Richard Nixon? Why was he impeached exactly? Who set Richard Nixon up? Why were there CIA operatives in Watergate? And what happened to JFK? Was there any government involvement? Why won't the government release the records? That seems very strange. Odd that, isn't it? So why wouldn't they be transparent, the democracy lovers, about an issue that has certainly caused the changing of the country for the worse? January 6th. And why wouldn't they answer simple questions about January 6th like, I don't know, release the tapes. Let us see what happened. I'm not saying one side or the other. I'm saying let us see what happened. Well, Tucker Carlson finally has the tapes, ladies and gentlemen. Tucker Carlson has 45,000 hours of January 6th footage, and his producers have been going through it, according to my sources, for the better part of a month. Speaker Kevin McCarthy provided access to Tucker Carlson to use of the Capitol riot. Ladies and gentlemen, you can tell here in the NPR piece, they are freaked out. Fox News to spread conspiracy theories about the attack. Okay, yeah, this is what they're scared about, man. They're so terrified about what Tucker's about to do with this footage because of this. Look at this. Check this out. Tucker, with 3.5 million viewers, Tucker has the highest week's rated show. This was from 2 weeks ago, February 14th, 2023. Tucker Carlson is crushing in the ratings. He is dominating in the coveted by advertisers 25 to 54 group. Those are the people that move the needle. Those are the young people. And Carlson is commanding them. And so they're very, very worried that their official narratives created by a small group of elites behind closed doors about January 6th may be coming to a stunning close. And Tucker Carlson dropped a little sprinkling of what we're about to get this week with his January 6th investigation with all of the security footage. Get ready, ladies and gentlemen. This is massive.
Defending democracy again. They're telling you it's really, really dangerous, and anyone would get to see the thousands of hours of surveillance footage from January 6th, which has been hidden from the public for 2 years, as a tiny group of people gets to make up stories about what happened that day and change the country on the basis of those stories. And we respectfully disagree. We think people should, in a democracy, be allowed to see what their government is doing and get as much evidence as they can. And it turns out the public agrees. Rasmussen, the polling firm, just found that 80% of American voters believe it's important that the public should be allowed to see the videos from January 6th. That would include 86% of Republicans, okay, but it would also include 78% of Democrats, 78% and 75% of independents.
Yo, good.
Wow.
Fantastic.
So you're defending democracy, but you're denying people information on the basis of which they can make their own decisions. How does that work exactly? Well, it's not democracy, of course. It's building a bulwark against your lies being revealed. And they are lying. And we know that because we've been looking at the tape.
Wow.
We're going to bring you information on the tape and some of it next week. And we think it's going to be really, really interesting.
Now, how do we know that they're lying? Let me make this very clear to you. The presence of a single federal agent acting criminally on that day means that it is all a farce. That's what lying means. A single federal agent committing or being part and parcel to a crime means the entire event is farcical and that the federal government deserves the greatest reckoning in my lifetime. That is what patriotic members of Congress have been asking. And hot damn, have they been getting the wrong answers.
Turn to the FBI. How many FBI agents or confidential informants actively participated in the events of January 6th?
Oh, man. What a question.
Sir, I'm sure you can appreciate that I can't go into the specifics of sources and methods.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants actively participate in the events of January 6th? Yes or no?
That's the question.
Sir, I can't answer that.
Did any FBI agents or confidential informants commit crimes of violence on January 6th?
I can't answer that, sir.
Did any FBI
Why?
agents or FBI informants actively encourage and incite crimes of violence on January 6th?
Sir, I can't answer that.
Ms. Sadburn,
Why can't you?
who is Ray Epps?
I'm aware of the individual, sir. I don't have the specific background to him.
Well, there are a lot of people who are understandably very concerned about Mr. Epps. On the night of January 5th, 2021, Epps wandered around the crowd that had gathered, and there's video out there of him chanting, "Tomorrow, we need to get into the Capitol, into the Capitol." This was strange behavior, so strange that the crowd began chanting, "Fed, Fed, 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 Fed." Ms. Sandburn, was Ray Epps a Fed?
Sir, I cannot answer that question.
The next day, on January 6th, Mr. Epps is seen whispering to a person, and 5 seconds later, 5 seconds after he's whispering to a person, that same person begins to forcibly tear down the barricades. Did Mr. Epps urge them to tear down the barricades?
Sir, similar to the other answers, I cannot answer that.
Ooh. Oh, okay. So Karen Haircut Lady, who is the third in command at the FBI, Department of Justice, is not able to answer if there were any feds in the audience. Why not just say no? Well, because obviously there were feds in the audience. And the presence of federal agents committing crimes or incentivizing crimes by pushing for them or pushing people into buildings, that automatically makes this a fedsurrection. That makes this a honeypot, a trap. That makes this something that was created and concocted by our federal government for their own means. Check out some of this footage, man, from my boy DC Drano. He's been tweeting and looking through some of this footage. Massive J6 discovery, a time-lapse video of the west side of the Capitol shows the crowd move past the police lines. You know what happened at this point? Body cam footage shows cops shooting tear gas grenades into the police lines, causing them to retreat. So according to this police camera footage, it's like the police were tear gassing themselves. Strange. Watch as J6 police admit their explosive munitions were hitting innocent, peaceful people. We're taking out 1 and 10 of them, and they're getting angrier. We're multiplying them. They knew exactly what they were doing, according to DC Drano. You know what happens when you launch multiple stun grenades into a peaceful crowd? The same thing as happens when you rattle a dog's cage. You need to release all the videos. What's this? New body cam footage from January 6th discussing how they were set up. Let them take control of the Capitol. Huh? This is why they don't want any more January 6th footage released. The fingers will point back at Pelosi and her staff secretly working to weaken security. Uh-oh. Did you know that the Columbus doors at the U.S. Capitol are 17 feet tall, solid brass, and weigh 10 tons each? They're impenetrable. January 6th got crazy around 1 p.m., but you know what happened? At 2:08, someone opened the doors, flooding hundreds of people into the Fed trap. Who gave that order? Who opened up these massive doors? I've walked through those doors before and seen them at the U.S. Capitol. I worked at the U.S. Capitol for quite a while as a reporter. Trust me, ladies and gentlemen, ain't nobody getting in there unless somebody wants you to get in there. Nothing to see here, just a guy wearing an earpiece, physically forcing people into the U.S. Capitol on J6 and a woman calling him out on it. I'm sure he wasn't a federal agent of any kind. This is why they don't want more footage released. Stop, stop, stop. You pushed us in. Why are you pushing us in? Look at the earpiece. Man wearing an earpiece. Multiple members of Congress have been asked whether there were federal agents in the audience. Clay Higgins of Louisiana, here.
Does the FBI have confidential human sources? Did the FBI have confidential human sources embedded within the January 6th protesters on January 6th of 2021?
Well, Congressman, as I'm sure you can appreciate, I have to be very careful about what I can
FBI
say
Director
about
Wray.
when
Even now, because that's what you told us 2 years ago.
May I finish? About when we do and do not, and where we have and have not used confidential human sources. But to the extent that there's a suggestion, for example, that the FBI's confidential human sources or FBI employees in some way instigated or orchestrated January 6th, that's categorically false.
Did you have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters inside the Capitol on January the 6th prior to the doors being open?
Again, I had to be very careful.
It should be a no. Can you not tell the American people, no, we did not have confidential human sources dressed as Trump supporters positioned inside the Capitol?
Gentleman's time has expired.
You should not read anything into my decision not to share information.
Director Wray,
confidential human.
Gentleman's time has expired.
Ooh, man, it's almost as though Clay Higgins knew exactly what was happening. Why would he ask that question? Why would he ask, why do you have Trump supporters dressed as Trump supporters inside of the Capitol before the doors were opened? Huh? And you just saw footage there of the doors being opened. Over here at Revolver News, we cannot stress enough how valuable their reporting is over at Revolver News, talking about the Fed trap here for January 6th supporters, going into all of the people who mysteriously disappear from the most wanted list for the FBI, detailing in stunning reports how there were breach teams that were deployed in order to breach the Capitol fencing, in order to make people inflow to the Capitol. They have the footage. You can literally watch it happen. You can watch the people working. How individuals like this Meemaw is still wanted by the FBI, but the people who went through and breached the walls, they're no longer wanted by the FBI. Why exactly is that? It's all on camera. It's all on film. Seems a little strange. This guy's called the scaffolding commander. He was up on top of the scaffolding barking orders. Who the hell is this guy? It's a little curious. Why would he be in this position? With a megaphone, barking orders. What is he doing? Okay, we're in. Come on, come on. We got to fill up the Capitol. Come on now. We need help to fill up the Capitol. Move forward, he kept reminding people. That's a little strange, that. Certainly questions that need answering. Kevin McCarthy is aware that they need answering. This is why Kevin McCarthy gave Tucker the footage.
Republicans, about 20 of them last Congress, called on Speaker Pelosi at the time to release the J6 Capitol Hill security footage of all things that happened on that day. Is that something that you'd be interested in doing? Congressman Gates said that you would be willing to do that. Is that true?
Yeah, I think the public should see what has happened on that day. I've watched what Nancy Pelosi did, where she politicized it. Where for the first time in the history as a speaker, not allowing the minority to appoint to a committee, to pick and choose. We watched the politicization of this. I think the American public should actually see all what happened.
So letting the American public see what happened is correct, because if you allow sunlight in, you will stop the diseases from spreading. So who's at fault here? Who's to blame? What actually happened? There were cameras everywhere. There are more cameras in the United States Capitol than there are at Fort Knox, or there are like some top secret military installation. Mark my words. So there's a camera in every corridor and in every trash can in the U.S. Capitol. So why not let people see what happened? Tucker Carlson said the same thing when he announced that he has all the footage.
For really more than 2 years now, we've been complaining about, and we think it's justified, the fact that the U.S. Congress has held thousands, tens of thousands of hours of closed-circuit camera footage from the public. They have not released any of it from January 6th. And January 6th, of course, is a transformative event in this country. It's been used to change the country. So there are about 44,000 hours. And we have, you may have read this today, been granted access to that. And we believe that access is unfettered. We believe we have secured the right to see whatever we want to see. So we've been there about a week. Our producers, some of our smartest producers, have been there looking at this stuff and trying to figure out what it means and how it contradicts or not the story that we've been told for more than 2 years. we think already that in some ways it does contradict that story. And so we're going to spend the rest of this week taking a look at it, assessing it as honestly as we can, and we're going to bring you what we find next week.
So that's been 3 weeks now. Obviously, Tucker Carlson is working on a massive bombshell here. Why is it panic time? Well, because, again, Tucker Carlson's show is the highest rated cable news show. He has multi-millions of viewers. He has almost triple the audience of someone like Jimmy Kimmel, we just covered. And they've already lost the narrative on January 6th. Might I bring to your viewers' attention this incredible panel in Pennsylvania talking with MSNBC and just destroying this MSNBC reporter on her fake news and lies. Ashley Babbitt, deaths of cops, and everything included. Watch this. And this is what happens when people stop believing the narrative and start believing facts, which they will see when Tucker Carlson releases that footage.
Mastriano was at the insurrection, and he was photographed breaching one of the restricted areas. Is that okay?
Which area? Because I saw a video where Capitol officers were taking away barriers and unlocking doors for people. So, I mean,
they opened the gates.
So
and
it
let them
shouldn't
in.
be disqualifying for an elected official if they participated in January 6th?
He didn't strike anybody. He didn't hurt anybody.
And the only one that died was a protester there, not a Capitol police
Unarmed
officer.
female veteran was
That's
shot
the
by
only one that
police.
died.
That's the only one who died.
A police officer did die.
No,
He
it
died
was a
of heart attack.
stroke.
That's not
not on site.
caused by that. That's because
Right.
he shouldn't have been a police officer. It was one woman.
So
who was
what do you make, though, overall of January 6th? I mean, it was, watching that footage, it was pretty disturbing. I mean, there were people throwing excrement at the walls, and it was it's the Capitol.
It looked a lot like Antifa's action.
Yeah, it looked a lot, except on a much smaller scale. It looked the same as the Black Lives Matter riots.
That's what I saw, the similarities to
around
me.
the country, not just
Indianapolis
one.
burns, Kenosha
But so it's
burns,
okay
Waukesha burns.
just because one side that you
No,
disagree with?
I'm
it's
saying
okay
Antifa
for-
I'm saying it's
infiltrated.
good for one, it's good for the other.
Anybody
I don't
who
see it
harmed
that way.
anybody who caused property destruction, that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah,
but if you're
on
there
either
making your voice heard at the people's house, no less, that's, again, it's a fundamental constitutional right.
So one, I totally agree with Based Adidas Man here. Good for you, man. Good for you. And listen to these people schooling that MSNBC reporter on her lies. On her lies. Ashley Babbitt, who's an unarmed veteran with no warning, was murdered in cold blood on January 6th, and there have been no consequences for that man. And I think we're going to find out so much more about it with Tucker Carlson's bombshell reporting. We're so excited for this. We are starting to get little breadcrumbs right now from Tucker, and I think that it is going to change. I think it's going to change everything. But they've already clearly lost the majority of the country on this narrative. And they need this narrative to exist because they need Donald Trump and all of his supporters to be seen as domestic terrorists, and they are not. They are people who love this country, who are doing exactly what you have a right to do in this country, which is to grievance and protest your government. A redress of grievances to your government is in the First Amendment. It's called the People's House for a reason, and people can go there and practice their First Amendment rights. I also agree with that panel that, people who behave, you shouldn't punch cops, man. You shouldn't destroy things. So I also agree, obviously, that people who behave criminally on either side should be judged criminally. Duh. That's just the law and order, common sense of things. But this is where we really get to the core of the issue. Who was incentivizing this? Who was stoking it? Who was organizing it? Who was pushing for this all to happen? You've already seen the FBI and the DOJ cower in fear at those questions, and I believe Tucker Carlson will have some answers for us next week. We're very excited about it. The only way we're going to save America, ladies and gentlemen, is if we understand what's actually happening and who our true enemy is. And you cannot be the friend of the American people if you lie to them, and if you manipulate them, and if you stage hoaxes on them. And ladies and gentlemen, it's time for some sunlight. We'll be bringing it to you on this channel. My name is Benny Johnson. See ya. Thank you for watching. Our channel is here to meme the libs until they cry and then to meme them crying. Their tears, they taste just like sweet, delicious ice cream. Salty, too. We ridicule the establishment and the libs because of you. Your support keeps us going. So if you like what you saw, please punch the subscribe button, click like, and ring the little bell so that you know when we're live. Don't you want to know when we're live? And make sure that you subscribe to our email list just in case the plug gets pulled, as tends to happen. If you want to see more of our videos, click here or here. My name is Benny Johnson. Stay free, Base Patriots.